Abhishek, welcome to India today.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to come and have a chat with you. And
It's always fun to meet you, yeah.
Tell me, what is your earliest memory of watching yourself on screen? I'm asking you this because you will get congratulations for your 25 years. Obviously, it's a big silver jubilee mark.
You.
What is your earliest memory of watching yourself on screen? What was the first time you watched yourself like on celluloid?
Not too far from where we're sitting right now, actually.
Really?
Yeah. About 100 meters down the road, there's to be a preview theatre called Sumit, which unfortunately isn't there anymore. It's turned into a restaurant, which belonged to Mr. Prakash Mehra, and we used to, as growing up, we've grown up in that theatre. Our parents used to have their screenings, used to watch daily rushes over there. And the first time I remember seeing myself on celluloid was sitting there was during, every evening in the early 90s, after dinner, my father used to bring me and a friend of mine, Goldie Behel, and my sister and all of us to Sumit, and we used to watch the rushes of 3 of his films, which he was making with the same director, the great Mr. Mukul.
Of course.
It was Hum, Agnipat and Khuda Gawah.
Wow.
And they were all being shot at the same
Getting
time.
goosebumps just hearing the titles.
And we used to see, the rushes every day. And then I remember sitting in the reception area of that, and they used to be discussing how to go ahead. And we had shot the climax of Hum in Mauritius. The producer of Hum was one of my parents' closest friends, Mr. Romesh Sharma, who we endearingly call Billu Uncle. And he used to live just behind the thing, and he used to, obviously, he's like an uncle to me. He's family. And I remember sitting next to him in the Sumit trial hall, and during the shooting in Mauritius, there was a shot where they take Deepa Sahiji, who's tied to a chair with bombs, and the villains throw her into the water. And Rajni Uncle has to jump into the water and save her. The hotel we were staying on in Mauritius was a hotel called Twist Rock. And that had these glass windows in the pool that you could look underwater. So they decided to shoot the shot of her coming into the water from there, because you could shoot it, you could see her clearly because of the glass. And from what I was told is that Rajni Uncle was not fond of swimming or could not swim or whatever. So in those days, there was no such thing as safety divers and all that. So, and we were staying there, and we were there during our summer holidays, my cousins and myself and my sister. And I remember Billu Uncle and Mukul Uncle told me that, okay, you come help us, be our assistant. When we throw her in, let her sink to the bottom, and then you jump in and pull her out. So that's what I did. And they one day when we were watching the rushes, they showed that. So that was the first time I saw myself.
Wow.
Yeah. And the second time was they were shooting Hum again in Ooty. And there was the second version of Jumma Chumma, where Tiger and Kimi Katkarji meet each other after several years. And they go running towards each other in the crowd. And I remember from school, I'd come to visit my dad. And I was staying there, and at one point the camera, when they used to cut, sometimes they used to just pan away. So they had panned away, and I was standing next to the camera, so they put it on me. That was the second time I saw myself on celluloid. So those are the first memories. Amazingly, the first time I saw myself in a film of mine, the first time I ever saw me as an actor on screen was also in Sumit. Vashuji, who was the producer of my second film, Tera Jadoo Chal Gaya, we had shot a couple of songs in Ramoji Rao Film City in Hyderabad, and they had edited it, and he wanted to show me the song. And Refugee hadn't released yet. And so he showed me this one song called Qayamat, and I remember seeing it with my mom in Sumit Theatre. That was the first time I saw myself as an actor on screen. Yeah.
The Sumit Theatre really has a special place.
Yeah. You ask any of the kids that grew up and who may be part of the film industry, that's where we grew up. That was our school. Used to watch our movies there. We used to spend time with our parents. My father used to dub over there. I remember sitting with my father, watching him redub Agnipat in one night. In Agnipat, he had, attempted this voice like, "Hey, Vijay, Dinanath," like that. And when the film released, they started getting reports that people were breaking the theaters and the sound system because they said, "Hey, what's happened to Amitabh Bachchan's voice?"
Right.
They thought the speakers were off. So Yash Uncle, Mr. Yash Johar, called and said, "We have to do something about this." And I remember Friday night, he went into Sumit. He used to dub there as well. And I sat with him and I fell asleep. I was very young. And he spent the entire night redubbing the entire film in his normal voice.
Wow.
And Saturday morning, I remember around 8 o'clock, he walked out of there, woke me up, walked out. Mukul uncle was there. He took the cans straight for mixing. And by Saturday night, they were sending those prints out with the new voice. So yeah, we've literally grown up there. That was our cathedral. Yeah.
What anecdotes! I mean, these are like for keeps.
Absolutely, yeah. It was magical.
Chris Evans in a recent interview spoke about auditions.
Sorry, who?
Chris Evans,
Huh.
the Hollywood actor. He spoke about auditions and the craft of auditioning.
Right.
And he said, I feel like auditions are these scars on my body that I don't show everyone because I've had many, many failed auditions. What has been your take as an actor to audition? For example, if there's a really great script doing the rounds.
Right. If I have the opportunity or the ability, I would not audition. I'm petrified of it because I'm terrible at it. I feel I get very conscious.
Have you ever auditioned in all of your work? No, I'm just asking because it could be a fact that maybe
I don't know any actor.
Somebody sees you and casts you in a role.
No, that also happens, but you audition a lot. You do a lot of screen tests. We did screen tests and all for Refugee as well. In fact, my first ever screen test was with Bipasha.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a model then, and we both screen tested for Refugee. And so yeah,
do you get butterflies in your stomach when you enter that room
terrible.
For the first
time? It's
terrible.
It's the worst thing. So I completely understand what Mr. Evans is saying. I get very conscious because I'm somebody I'd like to believe I'm a director's actor. So I really heavily rely on the notes that my director gives me. And acting isn't easy to just, cold out of the blue come out there and say, okay, this is the line, say it. What's the context? What's the past? What's the present? What's the, everything about it. There's so much more detail you get into once you're doing the film. That to just do it just off the bat like that, I find very, very difficult. I actually have a lot of respect for the directors and casting directors that can actually see a spark in an actor during an audition. Because I think every actor will tell you that the audition is not even 1% of what they can possibly do.
Correct.
So it's a talent to be able to spot that. But I'm petrified of it. Yeah, I'm terrible at them.
You also sort of dabbled in every possible genre. If you look at these 25 years. Most choices were instinctive. Most choices were because you were wanting to do something different.
Yeah.
And you also act out of that, I'm guessing, when it comes to choosing films, right? You've done a superhero film back in the day. You've done a comedy. You've done drama. There's been a phase in the last few years where I think your choices have been where you wanted to showcase a different side of yours, and we loved it. As the audience, we get to see that,
Thank
right?
you.
How does one not get slotted or typecast in a box? Because there is that temptation to do more when something works in an industry that is so obsessed with numbers.
Very honestly,
you didn't have that.
No. See.
Like a Dhoom or all of that back in the day. Like you've had such big successes with numbers and then also performances-led characters.
I don't think any actor ever wants to be typecast. An actor essentially is going to choose a film that touches them, inspires them somewhere to be part of telling that story. I don't know any actor, or at least I've not come across any actor who has a different approach. Contrary to what people think, it's not about, how much is this movie going to do? That may be the second question, which is kind of important to a certain degree in a commercial medium, which is what we have. But it has to start with an honesty and a truth towards the story. And once you have that, then you can move on to other things. So no actor's trying to be typecast. Every actor's trying to do something that they just feel inspired to do at that point of time.
Yeah. So what space are you in now at this point in time? I mean, we've sort of had a chuckle in the theatres thanks to Houseful. And that's a space that when you see the BTS of a set like that, it's a very different feel, no?
Yes.
I mean, you go on a set and you want to have fun, and then that's that. And then you do like a Kalidhar Lapata. You're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
It's a joy as an actor to have.
No, I mean, all fairness, Kalidhar was shot several years ago, before Houseful started. What mode am I in? I want to do some nice stunts. Yeah, I think I've done some. I've done some very passive. Now I want to go out there and jump off buildings and do stuff like that. I really enjoy that.
More part to you, why not?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I want to do some action now. Yeah.
I think you're almost prepping for that because
hopefully.
You're looking damn fit. Have to speak about the child, the child actor in the film, right?
Yeah.
what is your earliest memory of working with a child actor? Do you have? They could also sometimes go offhand, right? Because it's
In one of my initial films is the first time I encountered children actors. My first film with Aishwarya, in fact, Dhayakshar Prem Ke, directed by Mr. Raj Kanwar. It was a big family kind of a film, and I remember there were some small kids. But I mean, they were more, they didn't really have major parts, but that was the first time I worked with kids. The first time I worked with a kid that had a proper bearing on the script was again with Aishwarya for a film we did for my dear friend Rohan Sippi called Kuch Na Kaho.
right.
And she had a son in that film. His name was Parth Dave, I remember. I wonder where he is today. He must be a big grown man. But that was the first time I encountered working with a child in a proper role. And it can be demanding at times, but by and large, it's a lot of fun. You know, there's a purity to them which as actors you wish you could emulate, but you can't.
Yeah.
I think life just jades you, unfortunately. But children just have this innocence and purity about them. And they're so earnest about what they do, and I love that. And if captured properly, it's magical.
You know, there's a reel in Friends where you mentioned there's this child actor who's giving Jennifer Aniston the cues, and he's like, "You're not getting it right," and that's such a funny moment because it's the innocence of the child actor saying that, "Listen, I need to go somewhere. You need to get it." That's a different energy.
They're amazing, and Devik was just fantastic. I mean, he's a theatre actor. He does a lot of theatre back in Bhopal, and but even at that young age, to be so in control of their craft, it's amazing. It's wonderful to watch.
And it's also wonderful to know that you've had a great year. I mean, it's been a busy year for you. You've had some really interesting titles come off. And we're getting to watch you, on the big screen, on streaming. There's Abhishek in also.
I'm not leaving you a choice. I'm accosting you from all angles. Yeah. It's been, I mean, I'm thankful, that I've got work, that I'm doing work that I want to do. I mean, be it I want to talk or be happy or Houseful and now Kalidhar. I think I'm very blessed and lucky. So I have no complaints. I'm enjoying myself.
You mentioned an action film could be next, and you're itching to sort of jump off buildings and maybe do.
Yeah, something. When I did like I think the last big action film I did was Dhoom.
Right.
Dhoom 3. And that was a lot of fun, Uday and I getting to ride the bikes and all. I mean, I think it's every guy's fantasy, right? Just to go and do all these things and be like a kid again on set. So that and I'm dying to get back to doing songs. Yeah, there was a long phase.
Can we talk about Jhoom Barabar Jhoom and how it's an iconic soundtrack till
I loved
like if there's a house party happening or you're jamming in the car, it's the soundtrack. But
that's the brilliance of Shad. Shad is just so good with music. JBJ was great fun to shoot. I'd love to do something like that
and
as
Bluff
well.
Master.
I loved it. Yeah, but see, Jhoom Barabar still had more music. Bluff Master, it was more not really part of the narrative. In Jhoom Barabar Jhoom, it was part of the narrative. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I don't mind doing stuff like that as well. I'd love to. I feel somewhere we're kind of losing that one essence, no?
Absolutely.
In our films.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah,
and which is why
I'd
we
love
go to
bring
YouTube and bring the vibes back in the room when we are with friends.
I'd love to go on an outdoor to Switzerland and songs and it's great fun. I'd love to do all that.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that you also have a pulse on what's dropping on the charts and music. I know you're such a big fan of R&B and hip hop, and every time Bluff Master title track drops and everybody's like on Reddit and saying, why is Abhishek not doing this? Why didn't he pick it up back in the day? We need to have him back on the mic. Would that be a possibility maybe?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, see, right here, right now is the first time I did it. Happened as a happy accident. Rohan is a childhood friend of mine, one of my closest friends, and during the shoot after pack up, we used to all hang in his house, and Vishal Shekhar's studio was opposite his house at that point of time. So we used to just go and jam over there, and just came out very organically. But we recorded many more tracks after that. Actually, we did one for Dam Maro Dam as well called Thai Thai. I did it in Players with Preetham.
Yeah.
But I feel if you're going to do tracks like that, you can't just do it like we did in those days. It was just for fun. I think you need to dedicate time for it and do it properly. And I don't mind. I'd love to. I enjoy it. Yeah. I just have to, I think, somewhere brush up on my singing skills. But yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Don't think that'll take a while. But for now, I think Kalidhar Lapata is absolutely outstanding.
Thank you.
And just the fact that you're just, giving us gem after gem, having fun while doing it.
Thank you.
So congratulations on these 25 years. And I'm going to hold that note on a action film and a soundtrack soon.
Done. Done. Next time we meet.
On that note, thank you, Abhishek.
Pleasure.